Yo, what is going on, guys? We're back here with another video. Today we'll be talking about the top trade targets for each team in the Western Conference. So before we start today's video, I want to hear down below in the comments, who do you think your team, if it's in the Western Conference or if you just like watching the NBA, should trade for? So let's get into today's video and talk about all the top trade targets that the Western Conference team should take. I believe that the Utah Jazz need a defender on their team. So with that being said, I believe that they need kind of a small big man like PJ Tucker or really Andre Roberson, who can guard 1 through 4s, and Andre Roberson could probably guard some small ball 5s. And look, Derek Favors has been solid in his return to Utah, and Rudy Gobert obviously is the best defensive center in the entire league. But PJ Tucker would really come in, be a guy who can give hustle minutes, 15, 20 minutes a night, play some really good defense against pretty much the opposing team's best player. And if they can't get PJ Tucker, if he gets traded, I think Andre Roberson's a free agent that they can really good get. They've won 7 in a row and 18 of the last 19. So look, I feel like they don't need shooting. They just need a defensive guy who can come in, come out every single day. The Los Angeles Clippers could get Ish Smith, who's a guy who they could really get for a second round pick. He's not the shooter they would like. That's why I think another guy is Tomas Satoransky from the Chicago Bulls. And I believe that could work because they are trying to get Lonzo Ball, or they've been in the rumors and discussions for getting Lonzo Ball. So I could really see this guy. He's a shooting guard, more point forward, but I think he could be great for them. He's shooting at 40% from 3 and 50% from the floor. He's a better shooter and just as good as a passer as Ish Smith. I think he would come in perfectly next to what they're trying to do over there in Los Angeles, and you bring some size, making a huge lineup with Batum, Kawhi, George, and the rest of the squad. The Phoenix Suns really don't have depth behind DeAndre Ayton, and Frank Kaminsky isn't going to cut it. If you guys were going to comment down below, they have Frank Kaminsky. And I think Mason Plumlee, a guy who just had a triple-double against the Pelicans, could be a great guy. I don't know if the Pistons are going to be willing to give him up, but he'd be a great guy to come off the bench who can give you solid minutes, especially if Ayton ever were to get hurt. And if they couldn't get him, Bismack Biyombo is another guy who they could get on a minimum, who can give you regularly 4 or 5 points a night and then 8 rebounds with a block or 2 a night, who really is a really good high-energy guy off the bench. So the Denver Nuggets need a defender, a guy who can sprawl around the floor and be an effective power forward, and that guy is Aaron Gordon. Obviously, his biggest problem is not being able to create his own shot, and your answer is Nikola Jokic being one of the better shot creators for his teammates in the league. And he just gives them a guy who can be their two-way player, high-energy player, and his dunks and his big energy plays are really a good morale booster for the entire team. And he could really be a guy that could stick around for a long time, could be a core piece that eventually could stick around for a while, and they could win a championship with that guy, because Aaron Gordon could contain Anthony Davis to a point. Obviously Anthony Davis is gonna go off because it's AD, but I feel like Gordon can keep him in front of him at a point. And the other one is, I believe that if they can't get if they could get Bradley Beal, they should get Bradley Beal. They would have to do a big package, but they would have a big 3 then. Jokic, Beal, then Murray. That's insane. I would love that. So the Portland Trailblazers could go for PJ Tucker if he doesn't get traded to one of the other people I say he could be traded to. But if there's a realistic option, I really do think Thaddeus Young on the Chicago Bulls has become a kind of a poor man's Draymond Green, prime Draymond Green, and he's able to hit the jumper just as well as PJ Tucker would be able to. And he's not as good as a defender PJ Tucker is, but I think he's pretty close. And I think their contracts are about the same, and Robert Covington has not worked out. And I think Thaddeus Young has shown he's been able to score. So I would really like the idea Nurkic, Thaddeus Young, CJ McCollum, Damian Lillard, and whoever they run at the small forward would just work perfect there, because I've always been a big fan of Thaddeus Young. The San Antonio Spurs need a legit big man. Yoga Pirtle's great, and he would be better if he was coming off the bench. That's why I believe Hassan Whiteside, a guy who can actually bring shot blocking and really good lob city finish type plays and other things, that he can just be a defensive guy, high energy, and he's obviously not on a huge contract anymore, so he can really be a guy who can stick around for a little bit and I could see Greg Popovich putting him in positions to succeed and be a shot blocking menace. Obviously, if they can't get him, Al Horford for LaMarcus Aldridge, great deal. Al Horford's putting up numbers, good decent numbers, and he's a guy who could give them playmaking, outside shooting, which would spread the floor. He's a smart, versatile big man, and he's got decent rebounding numbers, and he'll be better than LaMarcus Aldridge is right now. Again, rather like Hassan Whiteside, though. The Dallas Mavericks are going to have to give up a lot to get Bradley Beal. Obviously, a deal like Tim Hardaway, Jalen Bronson, Josh Green, Josh Richardson, plus a first round or two, maybe a couple pick swaps would make the thing work. But I already know Wizard fans are going to hate that, and Mavs fans probably already hate that too. So, what I think could be the simple solution, and I know it's a lot of money, but Kevin Love, Kristaps at the center position, Kevin Love at the power forward position, maybe send it over Dwight Powell, Tim Hardaway, and you don't have to give up any picks. And Kevin Love gives you a guy who can stretch the floor, keep Josh Richardson, and you don't have to worry about him being a good shooter because Kevin Love will pick up that shooting that he isn't having, and Josh Richardson can just focus on being a really good defender. As a fan of the Minnesota Timberwolves, I would hate to see Ricky Rubio go, but I know a lot of Timberwolves fans aren't liking Ricky Rubio right now. So what about Ricky Rubio for Kelly Oubre? Kelly Oubre hasn't been hot for the Warriors, been hot and cold, and he's not there for long term. So imagine him going over to the Timberwolves. Maybe they could sign him long term, see what they got with him, and he's a young piece, while Ricky Rubio gives the Warriors a guy off the bench to give Steph rest, a guy who can play defense and should be able to hit a shot, because I do believe he can hit a shot. They can't get him, or they don't want to give up Oubre. Garrett Temple on the Bulls, great guy who gives A1 defense, and he also can be a really good shooter, above 36% career shooter from three. The Houston Rockets would benefit greatly from getting Miles Turner, and obviously it's not a question if Miles Turner is available, because they could really get him right now, and the Indiana Pacers almost sent him to Boston this past offseason. And imagine Christian Wood at the power forward position with Miles Turner at the center position, Victor Oladipo at the shooting guard position or point guard position, where they're running him at. But I think the question is what would Indiana want from them? Because I don't think it should be a king. It's not obviously king ransom, but I don't want the Rockets to overpay there. So if they can get him at a great value, go for it. Get him. If not, try to get like Bismack Biyombo. Mo Bamba has to be available for trade because he's behind Kem Birch and Nikola Vucevic, and he's only played 120 games in his career, 80 minutes so far this season, and I feel like a deal for George Hill and a pick would be easy for Mo Bamba in return. I think they should really just get a young guy, and Mo Bamba is a guy who could work out. He's a guy who could be a modern day shot blocking and 3-and-D guy. So like that's the type of way I could see it'd be a great deal for the Thunder. Dillon Brooks for the Memphis Grizzlies has not been able to shoot efficiently for them, and I feel like he's kind of been counterintuitive for them. So I feel like they should get Malik Monk or my man Jeremy Lamb, who I think are both guys they could really get. Malik Monk, yeah, he's on the last year of his deal, but he is a restricted free agent, so they could keep him for another year on a tender, while Jeremy Lamb is on contract, and he's another great guy who gives you plus defense occasionally and is a good, consistent shooter, better than Dillon Brooks is. And Malik Monk just has a lot of potential, but if you're trying to go right now to win games, go for Jeremy Lamb, is my opinion. The Kings have an interesting big man situation just because Marvin Bagley plays like a small forward. Maybe moving him over to the power forward, small forward position would be better, and having Vooch at the center position. I don't know how you do that. Maybe a deal involving Harrison Barnes and Rayshawn Holmes would get there, but I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Marvin Bagley, and a lot of Kings fans I've heard aren't big fans of Marvin Bagley anymore. So you could always trade Marvin Bagley to them, but I think they would like Rayshawn Holmes better and Harrison Barnes in a deal. And I really think Vooch could help them go to the playoffs, be a better situation right now than the Magic. Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Kira Lewis Jr. look good, but they're not going to get the starter minutes right now, and Eric Bledsoe isn't cutting it. I would love to see George Hill go there, but if they do believe Eric Bledsoe could turn it around, or if they believe Kira Lewis Jr. and Nickeil Alexander-Walker can get bigger minutes and succeed in that role, I think a good guy to look at is either Otto Porter or Lauri Markkanen. If they don't want to pay Otto Porter that money, obviously, they could look at Lauri Markkanen. Imagine a guy who could stretch the floor for them. Maybe they could try him at the center position to be a stretch five for them when they have Zion on the floor. I just think he would be really good for them and be fun to watch. We all know Gerson Rosas doesn't mind doing big changes in the middle of the year. Imagine Aaron Gordon at the power forward position next to Karl Anthony Towns, which I really like. He's a defensive power forward guy. Yeah, you could argue they need a guy to help him create his own shot because he can't do that by himself. But hey, I think he'd be really good. Imagine Russell, Towns, and Gordon. That'd be a lot of dunks right there and a lot of fun if they could get Russell to commit to the pick and roll with Gordon. If they can't get him, Malik Monk for a guy like Jared Culver or Jake Layman, you get a year with him, maybe another year if he accepts the restricted free agency tender, and he's been shooting really well. He could be really good for them. I like the idea. They just need to do something. Okogie and Rubio aren't working. The Lakers really don't need much, and Ish Smith is a guy they could get, but I think the best for them right now, their weakest part is their guard play. Like, they really don't have much weakness, but if you wanted to find a weakness, it would be the guard play. Devontae Graham is so cheap, and Terry Rozier and LaMelo Ball are playing in front of him. Not going to get much minutes. But yeah, I think he'd be great for them. But that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Let me hear your comments down below and hit that like button and subscribe button because I'll put out tomorrow the Eastern Conference. But that's it for me today, guys. Hope you guys have a great one because I know I will. So nice, guys. Peace out.